one button done up.
I'm very relaxed, as you can tell. I've been stretching.
Right, we better get started then.
Bloody autodidactic, mate. Mate, so I guess of all the AJs to exit defence successfully, and then those mostly that exit unsuccessfully, you're kind of the success story, but you've gone about it in a roundabout, fucking turbulent way, right?
Yeah.
What's the story? You were in 3RA?
Yeah, mate. Yep, 3RA. I grew up in Brisbane, and I guess my whole life stems back to my life being in Brisbane because my parents separated when we were quite young, and there was the three of us boys and my immigrant mother from Singapore. So she immigrated like early 70s-ish, and it was a me love you long time type story because she's from Singapore. And, we grew up in a small housing commission. It was literally 2 bedrooms, 3 boys, and mum was sleeping downstairs on the fold-out couch. So, we didn't have much. We had shit all, and back in those days, obviously, like you boys, outside playing and sticks and, playing on the road and playing in the creek. And if it pissed down rain, there was, water slides and you'd get sucked into drains and stuff. Like back then, it was a cool thing to do. So that kind of, I guess in a way made me want to make things better, as from a young age to go, you know what, I know my mum's given me as much as she can, but I want to give my kids a lot more once I get older. So, at that stage, a bit of military, stuff, ran through our family. 2 of my great uncles, they fought on Kokoda, which is pretty cool. And my grandfather, we're still trying to figure this one out because he changed his name. They're thinking that he might have been a criminal. So his medals have gone AWOL because we can't find.
She can't follow his name.
We can't follow his name. And my grandmother flushed, before she passed away, she flushed his stuff down the shitter. Yeah, just everything.
Why?
They must have had a big falling out. And so decided to join up. This was post 2001, September 11. Yeah. That was kind of the main motivation. I was in school, and it's one of those things that all of us remember. I remember wake up in the morning and waiting for a bit of cheese TV to come on. And it
Rat us the rat.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And the news was on and all this stuff's happening. For me, and I guess for you guys, well, same age, we didn't really grasp the concept on how big that event was going to turn out to be, especially how much it was going to affect all of our lives. So, a couple of years later, I decided to join up, and obviously all that at that stage at school, all my teachers like, I actually got an award, like it's like the award at end of year 12, the person least likely to join the army.
Fuck.
Yeah. It was like a full piss take, but
least likely to join the army.
Least likely.
That's a good award.
I still got it at home. It's really good.
Where were you when you saw the towers collapse?
Mate, I was at home in Brisbane, just in our little housing commission unit, and with our little 32-inch, probably not even 32-inch, probably 25-inch, with the old knobs turning the channel. And
the kids would have been you guys were the remote.
Yeah, and I remember going to school, and then we, all of us kids were talking about it, but there was no grasp of concept on how big, the event was like. And I didn't even know where New York was. I'm just like, New York, I don't even know where that is.
So you joined, and you went straight in, when did you actually join?
I joined 2003, but so what happened was, obviously after 9/11, I was doing a mechanical apprenticeship, and then 2003 come along. I thought, you know what, that's it. I'm gonna enlist. I went to go enlist, but there was no position for full-time reg soldiers. So they're like, you can go reserve if you want. I'm like, well, I guess that's the only option, because at that stage they said that Singo was just getting palmed because everyone was like, yeah, we're going to go to war. Yeah. So it was getting palmed. They didn't have enough instructors, so they couldn't fill, the classes there. And so I went reserve first, Chocos. And this is, it's people. I think the reserves are a lot different back in those days, because I went to 2549, and at that stage, that battalion was all the section commanders, all the hierarchy were all 3RA. So they're all these 3RA like mad dogs that just left Timor for the first trip, and they were all in at this battalion in Brisbane, and it almost, I guess there was like a subliminal way for me to choose 3RR, but there was another reason why I chose 3RR. I got tricked into it, and it involved money. And so I went Chocos first. Did all my IATs through Chocos and up in Brisbane. And at this stage, this is where I met Luke Andrews, former SAS. I had him on my podcast, and he's got some mad stories. And we've there's a couple of other guys that I ended up in 3RR with as well that were Chocos with me. But Chocos was awesome. The stuff that you got to do was incredible. Like we won like a dog cup type style thing, against all the other Chocos. And we ended up going to Singapore for 3 weeks, like to exercise in Singapore.
Yeah.
And it was more for the officers. So it just turned out to be a piss trip for us. And my family's all from there. So it was like a good thing. And then, we did other things like rock climbing. Chocos was like it's incredible. Like it's like a. It's
Not
like,
now?
it's,
Is it the same
I don't know. Like honestly, I don't know. I know when I first left the reserve.
I mean, I think it changes all the time. Now, when I got out, I did reserve time for about 5 years or so, like just on and off. And it was got all the young diggers that wanted to do fun stuff like that. Like there's stuff available, but it's all just budget. I think every year the budget changes. But back in those days, full-time operational deployments were all full-time people.
Yeah.
And so they had to keep Chocos motivated because they're not on a contract.
Yeah.
If Chocos don't get excited one Tuesday night, they're not coming back the next week.
100%.
Whereas now they're letting reservists fill half the seats on trips. And so that's the carrot dangle. They probably wind back on spending money on fun stuff because they can lure people down the path with trips.
Yeah. Well, at that stage too, 2003, 2004, so I got to the battalion it's pretty much right next to 6RR at that stage. So we're always seeing the regs crews along and giving us shit, obviously. But then our 3RR like hierarchy, like fuck you thing. Yeah. And can I curse on you?
Oh, of course you can, mate. You do it totally. Hang on, just before we go, can you tilt that microphone back a bit because these ones you want to talk into the front?
Oh, you do. That's not a top one.
I think no.
Is it? I think it was registering all right.
Oh, it registers all right, yeah, but that's the main face.
Test. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. Oh, you're right. There you go. Technology.
Just so that people don't watch the video on YouTube and think that we don't know what we're doing.
The first couple of
They will talk absolutely.
It's weird because some mics, like our mics,
they're all different.
Top feed.
Yeah.
So back to the Choco time, and I did some super cool stuff throughout Chocos, and then I actually got to go on Operation Relax, which is like my first operation, loaded gun, loaded pistol, and bought some boats, around the Northern Australian waters, which is pretty cool. And I spent 3 months on Christmas Island as well. So this is kind of my first introduction to carrying a loaded gun.
Really coming out of the 1980s training army, 90s they deployed Solomons in Rwanda, 93, 90, whatever, 91 and 2, 3, and then nothing for nearly 7 years.
Yeah.
Very minimal.
Yep.
So the Australian Army was probably like, what do we do? Like trying to ramp up and get back into a deployment mindset.
Yeah. And it definitely did because then team all kicked off, in effect. And then, that's when it started just going, there was Solomons, Timor, Iraq, Afghanistan. There was random stuff SAS were doing in, who knows, on Mars, who knows. And, but the Chocos were starting to get a bit of a responsibility as well. And, obviously we're attached to the Navy because the Navy were too scared to do their own boarding party. So they're like, we need the Army to come help us.
Get those dudes, those reserve soldiers that got trained last Tuesday.
I have no idea what they're doing. But
who's the chick, blonde chick out of Sea Patrol?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I can't remember. I don't know Australian actors. The one from Blue Heelers.
Yeah.
Boarding ship.
That was a good TV show, actually.
If you're the Green Senator, who was the Green?
Sarah Hanson Young. Was reciting. Senate inquiry. She's reciting like scenes from Sea Patrol as if like that's what the Navy does. It's pretty comical.
Wow.
Yeah, and then the I think was it the CDF or at the time was like.
That's on YouTube, isn't it? Yeah, I have seen it. Yeah,
that's a TV show.
Oh, bloody hell! But did Relax, which was super cool, and the people I got to meet on there, 2 or 3 of them actually come to 3R as well, so which was super cool. And a couple of them ended up over in SAS, and one's now the head physical coach for the Sydney Roosters, which is kept turning. I've just linked up with him the other day, so I want to get him on for my podcast. But and then the lucky thing for me with Op Relax is that my section commander, she was getting posted straight to schema straight after we left that op, and there's about 3 or 4 of us, me, Blue Andrews, a couple of the other guys, like, we want to go regs. Can you get this paperwork on the right table? And of course, she's literally just got posted to schema and put it on the right table within 2 weeks. We're on the ship to. They basically, the thing is, I was fully qualified at that stage too within the reserves, so you could essentially make me skip Singer if I wanted to. But they asked us, said, "Do you want to do Singer?" I'm like, 100%, because all our secos are like, do it. Otherwise, you'll cop it once, especially 3R. Like, bloody hell, romper stomper back in those days.
Back
too.
then, yeah,
and even worse, like in the 90s, yeah. So. Yeah, we went out to Singo, and then obviously you guys know what Singo's like. It's just that's when I first started getting a bit of a separation feeling towards my home life, because obviously Choco's Tuesday, maybe every weekend, and once every week, once every couple of weeks you're out in the field, whatever. But you're going back home. But, and seeing your family every day. So this is my first time I was separating, from my mum as well, like I'm a 19-year-old boy and stepping into the real world, and then, joining the military. It's not a normal job. Like, your first, this is one thing that, people don't understand is that, within all the jobs in the world, we're the only job where your first job is to kill. They teach you kill, and then fix everything else afterwards. There's not another job out there that teaches you that. Not even the police. They don't teach you to kill.
Yeah, I guess that's funny. You never really actually.
You don't think about it until.
Did you when you went through Singo go, oh, I might have to actually?
No, it was in initial recruitment when they asked you to recite the role of the infantry as you come in, like before I even got to Kapuka. And then when verbally when I had to say, when they asked me what are you going to be doing? I'm like, we're going to be finding, capturing and killing people. Like saying the word killing as in for the first time, this is an action that I am going to do myself. It was fucking weird. It choked me up a bit. And then after a day, I'm like, that's what made it sink in, the fact that it was hard to say. And then I'm like, I have to get used to the fact that I'm about to get trained to kill people. And then over time, it's like anything. It's just a button. You wear it down, and then you're numb to it and you don't care anymore. And it's fine. But, I think it wasn't when I got to training and they started talking about it. It was the language in the lead up to it that made me realise.
100%. And then obviously once you start deploying like Iraq, Afghanistan stuff, how many other jobs out there? You got to your DP1 checklist. You got to pack a body bag.
Yeah, I mean
there's not many other jobs out there where you got to pack a fucking body bag for your section, anticipating that someone's going to get whacked and you're going to have to put them in a body bag. Same thing in the PSD world,
I think that was. Talking about carrying body bags, you start thinking about your mates getting knocked. But I think that was the bigger fear for me personally when I was going. I don't know if it was Timor. I don't really thought we were going to have to go over and knock it in Timor. But going Afghan, I'm like, I was more mentally focused on overcoming the thought of killing other people than being killed.
Yeah, right.
Like I know when I was over there, don't get me wrong, by the time you get there, you're like, I would much rather kill everyone here than die myself. Well, not everyone, but got to be careful. There's some right, but when I was over there, I was far more concerned with personal survival when I was out on foot patrols. But going over there, mentally prepping, I'm like, you're about to get tested. Are you actually ready to fucking kill someone if you have to? And that occupied my mind far more than the thought of getting shot.
Yeah, right. See, that's the I guess the total opposite to me, because I was totally oblivious to anything. Nothing crossed my mind until after I got out and had my mental breakdown from 2009 to because I was transitioning from the mil life to the civilian life, which is, you guys know, it's not a simple process. But we'll touch on that down the track. But it never crossed my mind about killing people and the thought of death. I look back now of my time in Afghanistan, even in Iraq on the PSD one, I'm thinking, my life could have been taken away
at any point.
Just at any point. You just don't know that, especially in Afghanistan, like walking around the boonies and, you know, you're getting told you listen to the Taliban on ICOM chatter saying, yeah, we know the Aussies are heading out soon. We're just going to put some bang down for them. And, you know, you're walking out there just tiptoeing. And yeah, it happened a few times, you know, we'd troll down and.
I think it's all right because I think I was the opposite of I was like the snowflake, but the opposite end of the spectrum. I was like, I'm this precious snowflake. Like nothing ever happens to me, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what everyone feels.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's MP, everyone else is an NPC.
Yeah. It'll never. The bad thing.
To me.
Yeah.
Everyone else dies.
Yeah.
Same as the guys on
Yeah.
the boats, I suppose, in World War II.
Yeah.
They're getting off the boats are like, oh, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. What are the chances? Yeah.
And I was complacent. I would honestly say
That's
just
100% complacency.
Like, and it wasn't until after the fact I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that was a bit dicey.
That was dicey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, see, because we spent the first 4 months up until Rockall just in cars and in patrol bases. So the only time we're ever out on foot is if we were fucking about and wasting time, because we were always vehicle mounted following patrols.
Yeah,
up.
right.
So and that's when I got super complacent, because when you get over there, I was nervous when we first got over there, and then I was like, a few months in, when you're doing nothing but dropping mortars and driving cars, you're like, oh, it's easy to get complacent. And then in the last 2.5, 3 months or whatever, before we came home, we started to rotate in with a few of their, well, not Mex's teams, but the other teams, just to give people rest and go on patrols. And that's when I'm like, all right, I've been complacent for 4 months. And then I started getting nervous again, because I'm like, I'm actually going out to do it.
Yeah.
I'm actually going out to do the job that the other boys have been doing the whole time.
Yeah.
And there was, for the first week of doing that, I was watching Generation Kill every night before I went to bed, just to get myself pumped.
I was watching
so
the
I
unit.
could get up at 4 a.m. and go, all right, you're going out and do something.
Yeah.
I mean, it works, man. Yeah. Like watching a Generation Kill is a fucking fantastic show. Yeah. But yeah, that was enough to settle my nerves and go get to sleep at night. It was good.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I watched The Unit. That was my TV show with Jonas Blaine, and it's like about Delta Force, and they were just cool stuff.
So when did you get out of defence? When you got overseas? Couple of sand pictures. Yeah,
I only did the GAM once. I did Timor as well. And I got out in 2009. I had a parachute accident in 2006. So that put me out for all of, 2006. Boys are going to Iraq, and, Afghanistan was ramping up, and Timor was just going nuts as well. Obviously the presidential stuff and people, doing cool stuff, and Solis as well. And we did a jump, and I sputtered in and popped my shoulder out, and shoulder was down near my chest, and it was pretty bad. So I had to go have, like a reconstructive surgery. And then after all that happened, I got fit again. This is during 2006. And then one of the boys, we were on a dart mech range and doing some life, drills. There was two boys in the front, one of us, me in the back. He smashed straight into a dart mech hole, and I'm into the radio stack, and rounds are in the roof, and my shoulder's out again. So I'm in surgery again. So 2006 was just a write-off for me. So I was stuck in malingering.
Did you say rounds in the roof? So someone
live rounds. So I was out 2006. So that, for me, that was, I think it was more of it was a kick in the balls, because, as I said, everyone was just like overseas getting gongs and, living the life, doing what we wanted to do. And I missed it out on all that. So that, I think that was the start of my mental decline of, even just being in the military. I'm just going, fuck this bullshit. Everyone's deploying, and I'm stuck here with all, and obviously every battalion had their malingerers as well. There's people that walk around with a limp and like, fucking harden up, get out there. But
was that something that would have, is that sort of the reason maybe missing out on some of those trips that might have dragged you or pushed you towards doing private contracting? Or
honestly, I didn't even think about private contracting at that stage until I got out. I didn't really know about it. I knew there were guys in Baghdad and, especially in Iraq, doing a lot of contracting. Obviously that stage too was like mental, crazy times for Baghdad. And so I got out in 2009, got an accelerated discharge as well, because I got that stage within the army. I'm just like, I've got to get the fuck out. I can't do this no more. Like, I'm busted. I've my shoulders. I did get fit enough to not obviously get a med discharge, which is good. So I was like a Met class. I think they've changed all the classing systems now, but I was Mech 2. So I could still do infantry stuff, but I couldn't parachute. So I think that was like the main one. And then obviously they said to us, 3 hours of moving to Townsville anyway. I'm like, No chance, mate. No chance.
Mate, I know 3RA, when I, like in the early day, like they had, it was different because they had always had the para capability.
Yeah.
The quality of the soldiers was honestly
Because
fucking
our training was just, there was more, like we did like a PFA. So we just didn't do your BFA or your normal battalion, whatever training. We did stuff to the next level. So, our standard, minimum standards was like 70 push-ups, 200 sit-ups type thing. Like it was just 3.2s and battle, combat battle kit. There was always just next level training and obviously jumping all the time. Like it's stupid. Like you're literally jumping out of a plane full of kit with a shitty parachute. You cannot steer. Like it's mentally stupid.
Did you ever find that the rivalry or the competition to try and keep up with British Para's reputation was driving 3RA?
No,
because British Paras are meant to be savages. Like
they were,
get bored and they'll just eat a fucking schooner glass or something.
It did with some of the guys, but people like me that had no idea of the outside world, it was just airborne. Type thing. And it was more the battle between all the other battalions, 1, 2, and 6 and 5, 7 type thing. And every time, we got banned from Queensland at one stage because people just turned it on and spray painting donkeys and you know what I mean? Just typical 3R. Like everywhere we go, we just destroyed shit. Like it was
identity. I think the worst thing they did, and obviously being a fucking digger, narrow-minded, but getting rid of the para capability. I know they said it costs a lot of money to keep that capability, but I think it was the worst thing they did, man.
Oh, 100%, mate. Like, and I think what their thought process was is that 2 Commando could do it. No, they can't do a battalion drop of, 500 men onto a battlefield. No, like you need that paratrooping capability. Like it's invaluable. So, yeah, who knows? Who knows what the Army's thinking? Maybe one day it'll come back. Oh, there's always rumours. Yeah, it's coming back. But, as much as I hated it, only because I was a bigger boy too. So, like I dropped like a fucking rock, like it wasn't.
Like, because you give your pack off and stuff.
Oh, man, like I think the maximum weight was 150, 160 kilos or something like that for, with all your kit. I was well over that. A couple of us are well over it every time. So the little guys are just, they look like a heavy drop type thing. Like you're literally just kicking them out the back with all the kit strapped to them.
Do you think, back in the day, World War II, when they were doing para jumps into France and stuff like that, that was more fairly undetected. This day, you're not going to drop a battalion undetected. Is there a point to have?
I think it's just more rapid insertion.
Yeah, which is understandable if they're going to go down an SF route, smaller teams, rapid insertion. But you mean to quickly get a whole battalion in?
Yeah, quickly get a whole battalion behind the lines type thing. Not even behind the lines, but if you got.
I just feel like with defensive technology and radar in 2022, if you drop a whole battalion in, you're going to have about 10% left by the time they get in the ground.
Yeah.
They're going to get mowed.
Yeah, you wouldn't do it into like a first world country. Yeah. If it was like Somalia or somewhere where they haven't got that technology, you're like, 100%, let's do it, But if it's Russia, we're not.
I'm not signing up for that one, mate.
No, you'll get sniped out of the sky for sure. Then I got out in 2009, accelerated discharge, moved up to Newcastle with my ex-partner. We had a kid at that stage, and that's when I started to, I'm only 27, I think, 26, 27, something like that, and that's when I fell apart. I fell apart for a good year, 2 years, on the booze, on the drugs, heavily on the booze, and partying and just I started nightclub bouncing as well. So, I'm literally just left the battlefield into the nightclubs dealing with little peasant 18-year-olds and putting them in their place, type thing.
I can't deal with drunk people.
Exactly. And I didn't know how to deal with it either. So it was kind of, and, back in those days too, like, late 2000s, he was quite, RSA wasn't that prevalent as it is these days.
Bouncing men, punching drunk people.
There was shots and then double shots and, straight shots and whatever. So, it was so I was getting to fights every single weekend, smashing the booze and, I ended up separating with my ex at that time, and that's when it just even got worse, as that's how it there was no, I think, especially for us in that time and era, there was no real, again, this comes back to the whole PTSD, PTS thing. PTSD is a lot different. I think all of us suffer from PTS, which is just, the life of being in the military and, you know, doing what we did. So I was, you know, finding it hard to transition from the military life into civilian life. And I think what changed is when I started doing a little bit different work. So this is when I started getting into something more purpose in life, where I started doing a lot more executive protection. So I got offered a executive protection job, and I started working for Frank Lowy down in Sydney as well. I was his dog handler and doing static security and stuff like that, and obviously doing all their events and, you know, bodyguard stuff. And then I moved into more bodyguard stuff with more executive clients, and then that turned into the celebrity side of things as well. So for me, that gave me more purpose in life, because I felt, you know what, I'm actually doing something that I enjoy doing, and you know, when I'm doing it, it's keeping those people alive. So that's my satisfaction right there. So I guess that's, you know, to today's date, that's where all this security stuff, you know, falls in for me. I love to see people go out in a nightclub now and have fun, and know that if there is a fight, I'm going to be one that breaks it up type thing, and people are going to be safe. But yeah, so I got into the, you know, the private stuff, and then that's what led to, you know, Iraq and the PSD world, which is, you know, obviously for us being in the security game, that's the pinnacle. Like, you know, yeah, it's cool doing security here in Australia, you know, no pistols, no guns and whatever. But you get to Iraq, you know, you're looking after ambassadors and the Governor General. You know, he came to, you know, Kabul at some stage. The Prime Minister came, Tony Abbott. He came to, you know, Baghdad, and, you know, with the PSD world at that stage too, it was transitioning from the army guys, the SAS or the MPs that were looking after them. They got to sit in the back of the car with. That's it. They can't get involved. If we get into a, you know, a stoush or whatever, you know, it's up to the PSD guys to look after it, because it's just part of the rules and regulations for how to operate in those countries. So a lot of responsibilities put onto us.
What kind of so if you're sitting there, I mean, I suppose, I mean, just to get the where you're coming from, like if you're doing security for a celebrity, and you're like, right, if this, like, proper close quarter protection for a celebrity, you're like, what is the process if, you know, you jump in front of a bullet? What's your mental process? You're like, am I going to die for this celebrity? Are they paying me enough? Or, like, what's the...
Yeah, you know, for me, regardless if they're paying you enough, which they should be, you know, all the celebrities do. You know, if you're in the right line of work, working for the right line of people, you're going to get paid. Like, I did get paid really well.
And what do they expect from you? Like, is there a big, like you're going to take a bullet for this? Or...
Well, obviously the threat, you know, it varies on the threat, and obviously majority of celebrities don't really have that threat of, you know, getting sniped like Donald Trump, you know, would. So, you know, you get a lot of overzealous fans, and there are the creeps out there. You know, like some of these celebrities will have a full profile of all their creeps that just literally follow them around the world, go to every yeah, man, like it's full profiles of these people, and they know who they are, and they're just, it's kind of like the movie The Bodyguard, you know, when that weird dude's sniffing the glove and stuff. That's exactly what it is. You know, you just get those weird people that just get fascinated and fixated with those people.
So keeping it chronological then, what's the expectation? Who are you working for when you go over there and do private security in Iraq?
So for my jobs, I did a bit of commercial stuff in Mexico as well, but that was more for executive clients, which was, Mexico is just mental. But Iraq and Afghanistan, I was working with the Australian Embassy.
Right, so you're contracted to the government, and is there expectations that if you're going out to protect the GG,
100%,
you're supposed to jump in front of bullets for them?
Oh, you wouldn't, you know? Yeah, you would.
I don't know if I would anymore, mate. Like that was part of the romanticised bit of joining the army. I'm like, yeah, I'd die for other people if they're of stature. I'm like, I die for mates now, but that's about it.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I don't want to singly name politicians, but we'll use ScoMo because he's the Prime Minister at the moment. As a 36-year-old, even regards in a protection role, I would struggle to take a bullet for a Prime Minister. I just don't have that kind of American movie patriotism where you die in front of bullets for the president.
I understand that, but I do. I wouldn't say it's patriotism. It is more just me wanting to do the job to the best of my ability. So
all right. So going back to Max's question, is that do you in a briefing pack or whatever you get when you first take on a private security role like that? Is there expectations?
No, not to that extent. You know, when you are doing these PSD jobs, you are working with other grunts, ex-cats, ex-2 commando. So there, you know, everyone that's made it there is, 99% absolute competent. They're going to do their job to the best to their ability. There's obviously that 1%. And that's like every job. There's always that 1% of just I don't know. They just slip through the cracks when they get there.
It's about 80% of those. In
the expectation, I guess, again, because you're working in small little teams as well, Baghdad, working with 10 guys and 4 vehicles. In Kabul, we're only 4 guys and 2 vehicles. So it's a different scenario. But I guess as well, if you don't fight, what you're going to let your mate die? So you got to fight, if you know what I mean.
So
you still get your client in there. So I guess they almost become collateral. So they're just part of the team at the end of the day.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. So, I mean, in my mind, I just envisage, like, if you get in a gunfight and you're protecting the prime, like, get him down by all means and get into a gunfight. But if it's a single shooter, like every American assassination movie ever, where the dude runs out and dives in front of him and catches a bullet, I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if I'll be doing that anymore.
No, well, at the end of the day, the role of a bodyguard or, close protection operator is to get the fuck out of there. Your job is not to get into the fight and engage. That is not what you're meant to do. In the army, like, you hear a shot ring out, let's charge. Yeah, put the flags up and get the drums out, and we'll go head straight towards it. Well, bodyguard work, even in the the celebrity side of things, it's the same thing. Get the fuck out of there. Get him in the car, run away, run. That's your job, is to run away. So I guess I guess it just doesn't happen. It does happen, but you know what I mean. Like that's your first priority, is get the fuck out of there.
What's the expectation for you for a celebrity? Is it to be seen and not heard? Do they interact with you, or are they just? I mean, different people, different personalities.
Yeah, they're all different. I've worked for a decent list, a lot of A list, and they're all different. Some are fuckwits, but that's just who they are. And some are magical. They'll throw you a pineapple here and there, and like look after you, buy food, or you know what I mean, some are a lot of work, but the executives are awesome, because generally most of the executives are like 60 or 70 and they're in bed by 7:30 watching Four Corners type thing.
Yeah, right.
They're not out till 3 o'clock in the morning. I remember I got offered a job probably 4 or 5 years ago for quite a large A-list celebrity. Father's name is Billy Ray. She got here, and the first thing she did, she went to a tattoo parlor at 4 o'clock in the morning in Melbourne. So I'm glad I turned that one down. I was just like, I got asked for it, and I'm like, yeah, nah. I know exactly what that's going to entail. It's just too, that's not me. Yeah, leave that for the younger boys to deal with. I like the old blokes that are in bed by.
Have you listened to her podcast with Rogan? But she's an interesting person.
Oh, 100%. They're genius. Like, look at the success.
Yeah,
that doesn't just come overnight. That's work.
Oh, absolutely.
That's work. That's marketing. That's everything. That's talent. She can sing. That's not like that.
Well, the whole break, mate. If
she's an actor.
She broke up with Liam Hemsworth too. I mean, I'd go through a bit of a bad stage if me and Liam didn't work out. Mate, like, bloody hell. And then she reinvented herself, didn't she? She used that. That was a marketing ploy to break out of the handles.
Who knows, mate? It probably always is. Yeah,
exactly. But at the end of the day, you got to look at these people. They're just us. They shit their pants just like us. They pick their nose just like us. They're just human beings with
more anxiety, probably. They're just humans with more anxiety than everyone else.
Crazy fans that want to sniff their undies. There's not many people out there that want to sniff my undies. Did the PSD stuff in Iraq, which is super good. And the good thing about the Iraq thing, we had a lot of British guys work with us as well, and we had a pretty decent incident that happened over there. It was in-house, and it affected one of our guys quite severely because he was involved with the whole Jake Kovco thing back in 2005, I think 2006 as well.
Because we took over from
Sector.
We were Sector 11.
Yeah, I think this was Sector 9.
9.
Yeah. So obviously, that happened, and then obviously it happens again. You're on 15 years later, or 10 years later, I should say, 10 years, and it was just that was another eye-opening thing for me, because I had to. when, after he was dead, we couldn't use military establishments either. So his body was stored there initially, and then we had to put him out. He's a good friend of mine too. So we had to take him out to this random Baghdad morgue, like in Sada City. Sada City was like back in 2000, the Badlands. And so we're in this random morgue, and the weird thing about this morgue too, there was actually got a photo, a video of these guys in yellow jumpsuits getting walked into this. They called it the courthouse right next to the morgue. How convenient! they were ISIS fighters, so they turned out to be ISIS fighters, and because we were getting the interpreter hit up on the guards, I thought it was just convenient that the morgue was right next to the
because they're like
the community. So yeah, and so this morgue, like it was like, this is one thing that I can still smell. I can smell it now just thinking about it. Like it's mental. And this was the height and the offensive of Mosul as well. So it was body stacked full of, and this is it kind of got to me for a little bit as well, because we took the body bag in and had to open it up because they wanted to take photos, and he's got his ring on his finger, so I took the ring off his finger as well, just because I didn't want them to steal it. And long story short, he's even his wife, she committed suicide not long after as well.
So who are we talking about now?
Chris Betts.
Yeah, right. I was going to say, because I the transition from the Covco story, I'm like, how the fuck did the government not look after the Covco?
Well,
that was a different person. Yeah, gotcha.
So where, this is one thing I did speak about with you. I'd like to, try and push for the the PSD world to, even get some fun, especially the guys that were contracted to the Australian government as well. We've got a lot of guys that are having issues because, they've gone from, being a heightened level of threat to, back to civvy life, especially after Afghanistan. Like, the boys got smashed on the way out. I've got some videos I'll show you afterwards. The boys were getting escorted by by the Taliban to the airport. He goes, it was the most weird and.
Oh, the recent one, yeah.
Like recent, yeah. This is from the Australian embassy, mate. The embassy just
Taliban escort. Imagine that.
Picked up and left, but So Baghdad was throughout Baghdad as well, we lost to PTSD back here in Australia, and I think 2 guys in the UK committed suicide as well, and I think we lost another 2 back here in Australia that pulled the pin as well. And
what do you think it was?
It's just accumulation of, I guess, being away all the time. You're doing 2 months on, 1 month off, living that military life, doing all your deployments there, then coming back to the PSD while doing the exact same thing essentially, and experiencing all this death and gore, and every day you just don't know if you're going to get banged, and it's not normal. Like it's not a normal life for a normal human being. The money's awesome. Let's not lie there. The money's awesome, but it almost ties back to that movie Black Hawk Down, where Hoots getting asked about being an adrenaline junkie. That's what it is. We say it's not, but it is. We get addicted to carrying the tools around and doing the work. Like it's a fucking cool job. How many jobs out there you get to cruise around with, 4 guys and 2 Land Cruisers around Kabul, taking a client around.
Comprehend doing that job. So you're pretty safe when you're going into Afghan or Iraq as an Australian infantry soldier. You know that
you got all the support. You got everything,
right?
Yep.
So
PSD world, you got nothing. There's nothing.
Man, yeah.
You're lucky. The boys got banged in Kabul, and this van pulled in between the boys and fucking detonated and didn't kill no one, but fucked the vehicles like hard and knocked the boys out and knocked them around a fair bit. And there's no support. I think at that stage too, but they were lucky because the Australian Army were like, yeah, we're going to stand to for this one, because they're Aussies.
Yeah.
But generally, there's nothing. Like if you get into a stash in any of those countries, you're pretty much just on your own. Like again, there's no fucking fast air. There's no. Instant response team that's going to come out and save your life. It's just you boys on your own, and it wasn't too bad in that period of the time I was there. Like it was, it was crazy. We had some crazy times where we, go do a job, and it was like there was one time that we went in, did a job, and the roller doors started closing. It was like the movies, man. Like the movies, everyone just started hiding and packing up, and it turns out there was like this rebel truck out the front just sitting there just waiting for us.
Yeah.
And I grabbed a client. She's like, she said to me, she's like, we're not going. I'm like, get the fuck in the car. We're fucking going now. TL's just said, fucking we're going, don't care what you're saying. He ended up getting in trouble for that too.
Well, they wanted him to stick around.
Yeah, they want to stick around.
Wait to get butchered by
rebel truck outside. And you know, like Afghanistan, though, back in your time, or even SecDet days, if there's no one around, that means there's generally going to be shit.
Yeah,
that's when shit's going to happen. So, but yeah, and then obviously I went to Kabul, got the opportunity to head to Kabul for do my PSD over there at the embassy as well. And you know, looking at it now, I thought about it the other day. I said, I wonder who's sleeping in my room. Some Afghan is just in there. In saying that, whoever's sleeping in that building is
don't turn the black light on
because it would be filthy. It'd be everywhere, especially if there's it's generally just all grunts there too. So he could be anywhere.
Yeah,
in the mess.
Mate, I know we do want to cover this in more detail when we do that podcast with the other boys, a bit of a round table. But like I harp on this all the time. The number one or the main driver for anxiety in most of the boys is that subconscious feeling of not having security or not having backup. Let's dumb it down and go. If you feel like your life might be in danger and no one is supporting you, that causes chronic anxiety. And there's reasons for it, which we don't have to go into. But I think that's a conversation that really needs to be had. Learning more. I never got into the PSD world or private security world, so I never really kind of investigated it. But when it's obvious that the majority, if not all, private security contractors are ex-military. They're going over they're being employed by the government again, just privately, and you get none of the support, none of the medical support, none of the military support, and definitely none of the support when you get home. That's a fucking problem because that means the government's consciously deciding we're going to pay private contractors to do protective work for government officials.
Yep.
They're going to get in gunfights. They're going to lose mates. They're going to have all of the stresses, double the anxiety because they don't have support, and then when they get home, DVA doesn't have to look after them.
Correct.
100%.
That's a problem.
But it's the Joker from the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
He's like, look, if a truck full of soldiers blows up, it's supposed to happen, kind of, right? Now it's like, well, if we lose some PSD guys,
that doesn't matter.
No one knows. They're not in uniform.
The odd thing is that we've done a little bit of digging in regards to it, and there's different types of contractors. There's security contractors, then you've got plumbers, you've got electricians. They're all covered under the DVA. The government contracts to be protected. So if something was to happen, you're covered. But it was just excluding security contractors, which is super weird because all these security contractors, as we said before, are all veterans.
Yeah.
Who've served our country, and then we're doing a little bit more work because we want to. Great money as well. It's good money grab.
It'd be a deniability thing, hey.
Honestly, I don't know.
If you get fucking knocked off overseas, it doesn't go on the 44 dead of
It doesn't.
Politically, it's fantastic.
You won't see it, mate. How many people know that Chris Betts died?
Yeah, exactly.
It just
exactly
straight out. And there's hundreds of contractors. I know there's a couple of contractors in prison still, like in Kabul and stuff. They did some bad stuff, but they're in prison. But no one knows about them. They're stuck there for life. Like
a Kabul prison.
Yeah, over the last 15 years, especially in the Iraq War, the early days of contractors, they were getting killed more than US soldiers.
Yeah, the numbers for those wars, they released the numbers of and they said, the Yanks pulled out of Africa, and they said, well, this is how many soldiers we lost. It's double that.
In contractors.
Contractors.
Yeah. And you got to look at all those contractors again. We're all they're all
that's what I love.
Were veterans.
That movie, 13 Hours, hands down my favourite movie ever. I think it's about as real as anyone's ever made a war kind of movie. And that was all about the contractors in Benghazi. And they, thankfully, the CIA kind of looked after them, I think, because it was so publicised.
Yeah. Hillary stuff.
They were left. I mean, Hillary fucked everything. That's what made kind of everyone who's ever been in the military not like Hillary Clinton. But that was like that exposed as far as that was the first time I saw like how fucked, I guess, or how disconnected they allow contractors to be.
You're left on your own.
Yeah.
Again, because you can just be written off. You're written off. You're under the table. That's all essentially what a contractor is. But again, there's the difference between security contractors and, electrician. We're driving around electricians on jobs in Baghdad.
And they're covered.
And they're covered, taking them to, different client spots and treating them like they're government officials. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. It's great. Not many people talk about this because I don't know if they're too scared to, but I don't give a fuck.
Well, yeah, I mean, to devil's advocate,
something.
to play the other side of the coin, you get paid 2 to 3 times the amount as if you're in uniform, right? So if you go to the Middle East in wearing green, you're not getting security contractor wages, are you?
Mate, it's not far off, honestly.
So what, are you happy to, like, what, six month trip, what would you be on?
So Baghdad, you're pulling anywhere between 25 and 30K for 2 months. 2 months work.
Fuck.
It's good money. It's good money.
Yeah, that's...
it was $500-600 a day.
Yeah, well, I guess the Australian Army overpays people overseas, so that's a bit hard.
Definitely does.
What were we in? We were about 5.
I was away for 8 months, came back with $100,000.
Yeah, so it was about
minus
12,
15 that I spent in a week at Oktoberfest.
Yeah, it was about $12,000 in the Army. I'm pretty sure a month.
Yeah,
$12,000 a month. So it's not too much more. Being a private
true. That makes it worse. Like I get. I mean, again, like I don't like the side of the argument, but I could understand if government sits down and they're like, hey, we need to get some shit off the books. Let's pay some young blokes twice as much and they can go over there and stay quiet. I mean, whether you like it or not, that I don't understand it. Like someone's justified it. But if you're like, hey, let's get them off the books, let's give them no support, but we'll pay them the same as a digger from Wano, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And the money's even gone worse.
Nowadays, the threat's dropping too.
This is one thing that no one else will talk about. The Australian embassy in Baghdad right now, there is only one Australian contractor. The rest are all British because they're cheaper. The Australian government has gone fucking cheap on everything. Even when I was in Baghdad, we were rocking old AK-47s. I remember one of the first days I rocked up, I got my first AK. It was shooting sideways. It was like the barrel's bent. You know what I mean? Like it was like the bullets were coming out sideways. Like that's how mental it was. It's just, and then obviously when we went to Kabul was run so much better. So much better. It was a bit more infrastructure and building was better and there was a bit more blast protection on the building and stuff. Like Baghdad, mate, there was nothing. Like it was old school. It was AK-47s. Again, Kabul we had M4s and Glocks and stuff. Cool stuff. Stuff you needed to do your job. But I don't know what's going on with the government, but they're so cheap and the money's insane. The money back in the early days, you're looking at $1,000 US, $1,500 US a day. You had contractors pulling in $300,000 a year in the early days. But obviously, you got
to cash that check daily, but
exactly, you had to cash it daily. But I don't know, the government. Our government's
would depend. It all. I mean, I'm getting older and more cynical, but when you look at it, it depends on how politically okay that war is at the time. So there was always like Afghan breeding terrorists. That propaganda piece was pushed really well.
Yeah.
The Iraq war wasn't. And everyone knew Bush was in trouble as soon as people started to join the dots and go, hey, maybe Cheney made this up. There's no actual fucking bombs here. We could be here for the wrong reason. And that's not sexy to sell, especially in Australia. So governments will spend the amount of money directly equivalent to how much the public will accept it.
Yeah.
And the public's okay to accept hunting terrorists.
Yeah.
Not so much toppling dictatorships because of America's agenda. So I think Australia's budget in Iraq was always fuck all compared to Afghanistan.
Yeah, it definitely was, but the budgeting could, still AK-47s from...
Yeah.
Like how many US soldiers might AK kill? I don't know. I don't know. We don't even know where they come from. Like it's that bad. Because the companies that we're using, that we're using Gardaworld, they're not even Australian companies. Like, why don't you support an Australian company to get over there and do the job? It's very odd, but as I said, like Baghdad, there's one Aussie guy. That's how much they've cut the money because a Brit will take $300 a day because that's that $300 is pretty good for them in the UK. Whereas our money, like it's crazy. Pricing of living is inflation's just gone mental, which is
in Australia.
Soon.
Don't get me started, mate. I think we dropped the ball through COVID.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So, I started my security company. So while I was in Baghdad before I went to Kabul, had a few drinks one night illegally and started a security company and didn't think anything of it. It was more of I was just going to get into bodyguard stuff and do more bodyguard stuff. And so, left Baghdad, went to Kabul, did my time there. And then, I got medevaced out of Afghanistan. I ended up having blood clots in my liver. I had 2 blood clots and I kept doing jobs. I was doing these jobs and just getting this pain. And
drinking too much?
No. Just they never really found out, but they possibly said that it could have been bacteria in the water.
Yeah,
just clotted the blood and just said, eat a dick. Here's a blood clot. Here's 2 of them. So I got medevaced. Like it took about a week. I was in just like honestly, I had a bullet on my desk, and that was like the one. I'm like, fuck.
Thinking about it.
That's how bad it was.
Yeah, right.
This is the worst pain I've ever been through in my entire fucking life. They had me on fentanyl, and it was not even scratching the sides. Like I'm just like fucking. I don't know. Give me what else have you got? Like I don't know. Give me some ketamine or something. Like, let's get this done with. So it was got that bad, and like this is another thing, you know, like I couldn't go to the military hospital unless it was an emergency.
Yeah.
So I'm dying. I'm literally fucking dying. My liver is dying. No one knew. They took me to a private Afghan doctor, which is like it was kind of like a doctor run for you know, contractors, etc. So it was a bit more Western doctor. It wasn't your typical, just a guy with a donkey and a stethoscope, some crayons. They couldn't figure it out, and then I went to another similar little contractor, Westerner style doctor, surgery, and same thing. They're just like, here's more drugs, here's more tramadol.
Get better.
Just get better. You'll be right. Kept doing jobs. Got to that stage where I'm like, I've got to fucking, you got to get me to a roll. Oh, there's a roll two surgery. So they took me to the roll two, and that's when they started getting me on the drip on the fentanyl, and it was like contractions. So every like hour I'd get this full contraction, like it was like far out. It was like I was trying to give birth to a baby.
Your liver was trying to push your clot out.
I don't know. Yeah, don't know. I think it was dying.
Yeah.
And it took about 2 days there. I'm just in excruciating pain, no food too. So, I'm 120 kilos. I was about 115, 116 then. I dropped down to about 87 kilos. I look like ET, mate. Look like I was trying to phone home. That was terrible. And at that stage, no government support, nothing. No medevac from the Australian government, no nothing. It was the company obviously had their insurance policy, and so I was covered through under insurance through the private company. So they got a private company in to fly me straight to Dubai. Within like half an hour, this little Egyptian doctor, he looked like I don't know, he was just like a frail old doctor, mate. He looked like my granddad, and he's just walked in and did a few signals to his counterparts, and they brought over the ultrasound machine. They did all these ultrasounds in Kabul as well, and nothing. He's just done a quick ultrasound. He's like, blood clot, and walked out. Like,
there's no batteries in the one in Kabul, mate.
Yeah, probably, mate. Yeah, he walked straight out, and they just started jabbing with blood thinners, and in 5 days I was eating again, and first thing I said to him, I said, "Mate, when I get back to the gym?" He's like, "Oh, give it a couple months." Like, no chance, mate. So after about 2 weeks, they put me in a hotel for 2 weeks, just like a quarantine and keep an eye on. I just started training and started eating, and yeah, that was the end of PSD for me in Kabul, which probably was a good thing because it went to shit anyway.
Was that time to just go, yeah.
Well, I guess for that era, but I want to get back to it now. But now I just got to carry more tourniquets because I'll bleed out. I don't clot. So
is that right?
Yeah. So I'm on blood thinners now and heart pressure stuff, and I'm almost off the heart pressure stuff. But it's more blood thinners now for the rest of my life. And again, I'll just carry more tourniquets, which is fine.
Where would you go back to the Middle East, or would you try and some other countries?
There's a talk at the moment of a job, so I might take it up for a bit. And I'm still doing the bodyguard stuff as well. So I got out, left Kabul, and doing. I've been touring. So during this whole time of Afghanistan, Iraq, I was touring with Nitro Circus as well. So I'd go do hostile environment stuff, and then there'd be like a 2 or 3 week tour in Europe. So I'd fly to Europe and cruise around with the Nitro team, and hang out with the boys, and do their security and safety and stuff, and back to Kabul or Baghdad. And then so I kept doing that. Once I got back, left Kabul as well, which is still cool, and I'm still doing it. Like, we've got the Australian tour coming up. I just got back 2 months ago. I was in the US for 3 months, so that was pretty cool. And the US don't give a fuck about COVID. They're just like,
none.
No, mate. I got out of the bus, I think, one day. Yeah, I was wearing the mask most of the time, like on the buses around the athletes. I didn't, try and keep them sterile. Not that they were. animals. And I got off the bus. I think it was in Texas or Florida somewhere, and this bloke driving past in his big F350, and he's like, "Take that fucking mask off." I'm like, "Well, he's gonna shoot me." But yeah, man. So yeah, I've been touring around the world. But yeah, I'd love to get back into the PSD hostile environment. You can't beat it. Like the thrill you get out of it, and this job satisfaction. You know, it is. You know, the ultimate threat is doing that type of work. You can't get any better. So,
well, yeah, I just want. There'd be some interest. Is there places you wouldn't go? Like, is there contracts that say, "Hey, there's one in Africa"?
I'll go anywhere.
You go anywhere.
Yeah, you know, in saying that, if you're going with the right team, so if you're going with a group of good guys, you're like, 100%, I'll put my life in their hands. I want as long as the money's good as well. You know, the money's got to be there. You know, let's talk about money. You know, money has to be there before you could take on. You're not going to go for $200. I'll get $200. You know, working at McDonald's type thing. So, yeah. So I started the security company as well. So obviously did that in Baghdad one drunken night.
Were you like, oh, fuck it, if it works, it works? Or you're like...
Yeah, it was more to just, again, get into the bodyguard side of things. So we started doing it, and then I thought one of my other mates was like, do you want to get back into the... Because bouncing, I love bouncing. Bouncing is good fun on the doors. You know, again, it's a satisfaction of, you know, keeping people safe while they're having fun. So, you know, it's started picking up some of the bars and clubs here in Newcastle, and, you know, now it's evolved to... You know, there's about 60, 65 people working for me now, you know, throughout Newcastle on the doors. And, you know, when you're getting drunk on Anzac Day, you'll probably get kicked out by my guys. You know what I mean?
So, I'll still be banned.
Yeah.
That's I was about to ask you, like, what drives you to want to go over? Because I'd struggle these days. Well, looking at it, I used to love the idea of going overseas fighting bad guys as well. Now I'm not convinced they are the bad guys, and I'm not convinced we're not the bad guys, and it's all just a propaganda story. And I focus on that. And then I was about to ask you, like, why do you want to go to foreign countries again? But I guess you just almost answered it when you say you enjoy doing bouncing on doors because you're protecting the people at nightclubs. Like it depends where you focus your lens at. Realistically, I'm assuming you go into a private security job. If you're getting enough out of the fact that you are protecting your client's life, doesn't really matter who the bad guys are or who exactly the other team are.
Exactly.
Yeah. I guess, yeah.
The thing is, you know, the difference between me and you is that once you left the military, that was it. You didn't continue security. You didn't continue doing that hostile, you know, playing with guns and stuff like I did. You know what I mean? I got straight back into it. Like it was, and it hasn't left me because I'm still doing it. You know, I'm still doing security. So, you know, one day I'll get out of security, like 100%, because it is a stressful environment. Like how many years can you keep doing this? It's, the effect of just being at that high, you know, awareness, you know, everywhere you go, like where's the next threat coming from? Especially when you're working with a client, that's all you're waiting for. And it's more, you know, these days a threat for the celebrity people and executive stuff is, you know, it's getting powder thrown on them or egg thrown on them. But how embarrassing is that for the bodyguard? Because he should have stopped that. Yeah. And for me, if that would happen to me, I'd be like, I failed. I've just failed. That could have been a knife. But it was just an egg. But it's what's more embarrassing, probably, you know, copping an egg over your head type thing.
Yeah.
So, you know,
that's like Arnie's. What does Arnie get egg? Didn't he? Didn't he get egg?
Oh, back in the day, he goes, "Where's the bacon?" No, he got an egg cracked on him.
Yeah, he got fly kicked like a year ago, 2 years ago. They were in Africa, and it's on YouTube. We'll have a look after it. This dude's just come up and just did a, you know, Bruce Lee in the back of his back, and the bodyguards are standing there. Obviously, when you watch the video, you can see the bodyguards aren't standing in the right position, but this, you know, this is the problem with the industry as well. There's a lot of people out there that, you know, call themselves experts, and you know, is
it vastly unregulated? Like, is it like CrossFit used to be? Like,
oh, definitely.
Oh yeah, no, I'm definitely private security.
Definitely is. And the worst thing about it here in Australia is that people just do their certificate 3 in bodyguarding. It's like a 6-day course or something, and you know, they stand up proud and I'm a bodyguard.
Yeah, and it's up. So I mean,
not mate. Like, calm down.
Yeah, and it's upsold by the course delivery company. Like courses are just a manufacturing plant now. And they're like, we get them in to do a security course so they can bounce the door at Fanny's.
Yeah.
As soon as they're finished, the company wants to upsell you. Like, hey, you're pretty good. You want to do a bodyguarding course? You've never left your mum's house. You haven't been out of Newcastle, but you're probably going to be a good bodyguard. Once you finish that
course, you'll be a bodyguard.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not.
It's a problem. It's a problem.
So I go into a couple of these, one of these training providers at Belmont. great people, precision training. So if you are out there listening, you need to do some security, head out there and get courses done. I head out there and have a chat, to the potential employees. The way I look at them, they are potential employees for me, to work on the doors and stuff. So I'll try and sell my product while I'm there. But while I'm there, I also like to teach them about, the big bad world out there, of doing security. If you want to be a bodyguard, I generally ask them, do you want to be a bodyguard? And you get the one or two put their hand up. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm doing my Cert 3 next month. I tell them straight up, that's not going to make you a bodyguard. I did a lot more than just doing that. I flew to the US and did a 10-day PSD job. PSD course. I flew to the US another time to do just a medical, 5-6 days of medical. And there's multiple other things I've done here in Australia or New Zealand and Southeast Asia just to upskill myself to get me to a level where I think I'm proficient at what I'm doing. Yes, the military and the PSD world's definitely helped me, get to the level that I'm at. And always, always the military is always going to give anyone the upper leg, especially all the, the vets are going to be listening, The military life, the way you got to look at it is that there's no other company out there that has invested that type of money to train you up into what especially the special forces guys. They're spending $2-3 million just on one guy to train you up for you to do your 10 years in the army. You're invaluable to a corporate company because Macca's is not going to spend $3 million on one employee to train them up to become a manager. No chance. That's what they do in the military, and that's what a lot of our vets tend to forget. Is that you are highly trained. You got a lot of, like Liam Neeson, you got a lot of skills.
Yeah. No
one ever thinks of it that way, but you've been invested in, a lot of money's been invested in just in you. Even just a regular digger or, even a blanket folder or whatever core you're in. They've spent a lot of money on you to turn you into what you can be in the military, and that transitions straight into the civvy world, and we don't see it when we transition. And one thing I do want to touch on is obviously when back in the day, all your qualifications in the army used to transfer over. I know they're doing it again now, but they stopped it at one stage because they knew that the retention rate was shit. So they'd stopped all these transitional courses. Like I had a Cert 4 in pyrotechnics because I was in mortars. You know what I mean? Like I had no idea about fireworks. You can get your Cert 4. I'm like, oh, sweet.
Yeah, I got none. I didn't feel anything.
Yeah, they ended up stopping it all. You know what I mean? They ended up cancelling all those certificate type thing. So, there's,
So what do you do, noting that you live a high-stress life, you're running businesses, you're touring with Nitros. So they're all the what do you do to sort of, I don't know, recover?
Switch off.
It's hard for me to switch off because, I've got my security company. I've got Iron Cartel, which is my gym brand. It's gym clothing, and I've got supplements line now, which is, it's going nuts as well. Everyone's that new year, new me type thing as well. It works every year. And then I've got my tactical brand, and obviously Zero Limits podcast now is like just taken off, and we're talking a super like Dan Pronk. And yesterday I had Dr. Tony Brooks. He was a US Ranger that was on the retrieval mission for Marcus Luttrell, and some of these guys got mental stories. So I'm flat out like, I find it hard to turn off. I wake up 3 o'clock in the morning going, oh fuck, that's what I need to research. And I'm actually working on another side project now with my daughter. She's going to have her own little skincare range.
Yep.
Good. She's only 5, so I was working on a logo last night, and I've learned how to make body butters, which is
make it all natural. Yeah, tell me it's all natural.
I'm making it all natural, baby. All natural. For me to wind down, in saying all this too, the backbone I've had for the last, 6-7 years is my wife. She's put up with a lot of shit, like especially with me, this is the funny story is we got married, and then literally we landed in Fiji for our honeymoon. I get the email from Iraq. They're like, you're in. Well, fuck, should I tell her now? She's like, oh, fuck. And, we've got 2 kids now, and she's been the massive backbone, throughout all of this. She puts up with my shit. And, we've all had past relationships and stuff like that. And, veterans aren't easy people to deal with.
No.
We're hot-headed. We're sad one day. We're happy the next. It's almost like bipolar with veterans that leave the military because I can't explain it. I don't know. And, I do speak to a psychologist as well. I have for the last 2 years, and it's not because I've got PTSD. I don't have PTSD. I know for a fact, but I do have PTS, which it was undiagnosed.
I was watching Bill Burr the other night, and Bill Burr's walking around in his comedy stuff, and he's saying, I mean, he got molested as a kid in a Boston primary school, whatever, and he says he walks around at like 70. He's revving at 70, and then his missus twists off like, where's all this coming from? He's like Bill Burr. Massive example of PTS.
Yeah. That's it. And we spoke about on when Adrian come on Zero Limits podcast, about the differences between PTSD and PTS. I don't have a disorder, but we're still stuck in those hypervigilant ways. And, for me, like I drive here, my mirror is up because I can't, if someone tailgates me, that's the end of it. I'll get out and I'll fucking get out and let your tyres down.
Not slowly.
I guess, for me, that's, for me driving in Baghdad or Kabul where, if a car's too close, it's just a threat, like it's, I remember the funny thing about the PSD world as well, literally, 24 hours before, you land back in Australia, in Sydney, you're in a hostile environment, drive around in these SUVs and cutting cars off and, nudging cars out of the way and doing 150 kilometres down whatever you want to do, hitting the blue and red light sirens and just getting people out of the way type thing. And, 24 hours later, you're back. I'm driving from Sydney to Newcastle just doing the same thing. And I've had the police pull me over once. I'm like, dude, sorry, man. Like I was literally in Baghdad less than like 15 hours ago. Just give me a break. He's like, he basically said to me, can you prove it? I'm like, fuck. It's a picture of me in Baghdad like 15 hours ago. You know what I mean? Like, and he's like, yeah, fair call. Just,
that's a good cop, mate.
And I didn't think about it. Like it was literally just me just sitting on 140 on the freeway just because I thought that was, and it's funny because I'd be, weaving in traffic, like evasive driving and stuff like that. And it was just a subliminal thing for me to do. Now I'm getting better at it, but I still have hypervigilance. I'll see like a bag tied in a tree. I'm like, oh, fuck. Trying to put a car in between us.
Change the terminology between being hypervigilant and just being. They're skills that you learn. They're physiological skills that you learn to keep you alive. And I don't think it's hypervigilance. I think it's just vigilance, and everybody else in Australia is walking around complacent, la-di-da. I think that's where human beings are supposed to operate or have done for the last 100,000 years, is that place.
Oh, 100%, because,
Back and like, no, that's not normal. You're like, no, that is normal.
Yeah.
We're walking around in
100%.
first world country. This isn't normal.
Yeah. Well, you've got 100,000 years, or I wouldn't say that long ago, but, back then you didn't have to worry about, the other tribe. You have to worry about fucking lions and, especially in Africa and stuff, lions and tigers. Like your vigilance, like, fuck, if I walk through here, is a tiger going to grab me? Type thing. So, so I guess for me, going back to your question before, how do I relax? I don't. Like it's just my mind is always just, what can I do? How can I do it? Or something will pop up. If I get an email, I'm bad. If I get an email, I'll get into my ops manager and business manager like, reply to those fucking emails now. Like, get it done now. I don't care if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'll do that. If I get an email from a client at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm up replying, bang.
Fuck, you are.
Oh, I can't stop, man. Like this, yeah. So
that I think that's the problem. I think Mex is right. Like humans are supposed to be in certain scenarios when you're out and there's threat, you're supposed to be hyper vigilant. Our generation just hasn't been taught the tools how to turn off, which is absolutely the problem. Like you can't run hot 24/7. No, you burn out and you age real quick. You're just in chronic anxiety is chronic cortisol. So there's cortisol in your brain forever, and that'll age you fucking rapidly. And most people are going, oh no, I'm just chilled. Oh, they're not anymore because the last couple of years everyone's cooked. But most people are just not aware. They've got the blinders on. They're walking down the street, headphones in. You could walk up behind them and smack them on the side of the face. They wouldn't have a fucking clue where you came from, which is the polar opposite. Like you want to be more alert than that. But being redlining when you're on the freeway, again, is that a problem? Maybe not. It might keep you alive one day when some idiot tries to ram up the back of you. But as soon as you get out of the car, off the freeway, into your own house, we need the tools to be able to go, it's time to chill now. There's no threat here.
Yeah.
And without that, it's hard. And like you're saying, like I think that's a trait from most successful hustlers is they just are on always.
Yeah.
But I think that we got to find a way to.
No, 100%. But, you know, for me, I guess, you know, again, going back to you, you know, when I try and relax, it's just literally lay on the couch, but I'm still watching YouTube. I'm watching cooking videos. I'm watching how to make body butters. You know, I'm a 38-year-old man, war veteran, making body butters. You know, lip gloss. I've been researching lip gloss. CIA or the what do you call them? The federal police be watching my shit going, what's this guy doing?
This guy's cool.
He's watching lip gloss videos now. Yeah. But, you know.
So you haven't got a name for it yet?
I do.
Yeah,
it's not yet. It's quite simple. It's just a name, really. So it's not
her name.
Yeah.
But
it's going to be cool stuff. And I know the kids doing it. So, and I kind of use my research time as almost like, it's like my downtime. And, you know, when that, you know, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire comes on, I'm pretty good at that show because I just watch everything. You ask my wife, like I'm watching how food is made. I'll tell you how anything's made. I'll tell you how chili sauce is made. I'll show you how to do it. You know what I mean? Like I know how it's done. I know it's done because I watch all that shit on YouTube. Yeah. So I'm always trying to learn how to do things. You know, again, like coming back to the clothing brand. You know, that's all me. I showed you how to do it all.
Yeah.
Before I started, I had no idea. I just made it all up and here it is. It's
that's gold. That's what I liked about your setup in your warehouse, and that's what we started talking about the potential for in the future, building like creative spaces. Because some of this stuff, and that's why I'm actually considering it after seeing your setup. The merchandise that we do, we've outsourced everything now. Like someone else makes it, goes to a fulfillment center. So then at the moment, the clothing we only have basic logoed stuff. We haven't come up with anything creative because we've started to treat it like it's just a product for people who want it when it's there. I don't want to think about it. Whereas the point of it, the way you've got it set up, it's almost like it's a hobby where you're getting anything manual, like hands-on, is great meditation. So you're spending X amount of time a day printing shirts, packing them. It's like manual, mindless labor.
Yeah.
That's good for you.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm thinking maybe – one, I don't want more stress. Like I don't want more jobs in my life because I've got too much on my plate as well. But at the same time, like some of the fun stuff, printing shirts,
it's
packaging shit like that. That's something that I might consider bringing back in house.
Yeah, so. And that, like going back to you again, that's another way. You know, I like to just de-stress. I literally go into my office is upstairs. I haven't sat in that thing for a year and a half. Literally, I go up there to print out labels. That is it. There's nothing up there. Just a computer and a desk now. Everything is downstairs in that creative space. You know that's just like my area, and I find that part of my time to relax is print some shirts. And I bought a $14,000 embroidery machine. I had no idea how to fucking use it, but I've worked it out. You know what I mean? Like they said they're going to send someone over to help show me how to do it. I'm like, don't worry about it. I'll figure it out. And bang, and I'll whip up a shirt if I need. You know what I mean? I do all the security, all my security uniforms. I do it all. And I guess that's another thing with veterans. Like we just like to, I think, a lot of things you were taught back in the day is improvise and get it done.
Yeah, I think the time constraint stuff, I can enjoy. I mean, me and Suts were talking about this. I can enjoy pretty much doing nearly anything, even mundane, washing the dishes, whatever it is, as long as there's no time constraint on me.
Yeah,
I can take it to like mowing the lawn, a little bit of Zen garden stuff, turn it into a game of fight in your brain, whatever it is. As long as there's no time constraint. As soon as you put a deadline and a time constraint, like driving down the freeway the other day, like you fucking patience, man. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
As soon as you've got a deadline, you start stressing about running late. And this is what we're kind of tossing up at the moment.
Definitely, because I run 3 minutes late today to come here and I was
stressing. Yeah.
Fuck, I'm late.
Mate, this is a big part of my move through like changing identities. I've when I left the army, I grew my hair, became a bit more of a hippie. Like I do believe that everyone's got X amount of personality pieces in them, and I want to move far further away from the young version of me that just wanted to be the hardest motherfucker on the planet to the hippie version that doesn't like wearing shoes, doesn't care about. And part of that for me is stopping stressing about running late. Like that is I don't like the way Western society's built. There's a lot of things I'd love to see change. And one of the big ones is we are addicted to the clock. But at the same time, I'm also pushing a model that goes, you will reduce stress if you structure your life and get a routine. So that's what we're playing around with now. Like time boxing is this thing that's coming out. It's going, do X amount of jobs per day, have them set out in a routine, but you don't have to start and finish at exactly the right time. Just get them done at some time of the day. So I guess the lead up here is do you have like a routine? You've got a bunch of businesses. I know that a lot of them are in the startup phase still. Security companies obviously highly successful.
Yeah.
To manage them all yourself, I know you got a team, but you said most of this stuff is just you. Do you have structure and routine, or do you just wing it?
Yeah, definitely for the security business. Yeah, definitely structure. There's Mondays. I'm kind of lucky because my operations manager, he's ex-3RR, like modern day 3RR, crap hat, no wings. I give him shit every day. He calls me a lid. So it's kind of good to have him on board and, have that military mindset as well. So, he knows if I get pissed off at him, it's just the old knife hand and you fucked up, fix it type thing. And that's it. It's not personal. It's not emotional. It's just fucking get it done. So yeah, the security business is structured. So, Mondays are this, Tuesdays we do this, Wednesdays we do this. And, we're starting, it's in an evolving process as well. So there's more and more stuff that we're adding and stuff like that. So yeah, when it comes to security, it's structured. The way we do things is structured. With the other stuff, it's hard because it's the sales, like it's in the commercial, the retail sector. So it's just when an order comes in, just get it done. So I'll be doing security stuff and then I'll just jump on the side, turn the press on and print some shirts up and embroider a shirt, whatever, and then send it out and get back to the security stuff. So yeah, in some way there is structure. I guess I'm kind of lucky again. I've got Lachlan and Adam in the office as well. They take over a lot of the day-to-day stuff that, I used to do from the start, but, so I don't have to really worry about it. I'm more dealing with the ATO every fucking week. Jesus Christ. Giving them money yeah. What a criminal organisation that is. And dealing with all the police and licensing and all that type of crap. So, yeah, there is structure. And I guess, being veterans, that's what we do. But I am pretty lazy at home. That's my, I've gone from, in the military life to having everything, perfectly folded and you're getting room inspections every single week and keeping everything tip top. And, as soon as I left the military, I got I'm pretty grubby at home. My wife picks up a lot of that slack, which is, I appreciate you. But when it comes to the businesses, it's all structure. And that's the only way I think a business can move forward and get bigger and better is structure. Without structure, and it's the same as like a military operation. Without structure, there's nothing. You can't do nothing. Without communication, you can't do nothing. Without the supply, you can't do nothing. Without the leadership, you can't do nothing.
Yeah, mate, I completely agree. I think to start companies, you need a massive amount of structure. And we've fought different ideas back and forward over the last year and a half, and we're finally getting to the point now where I think we've got the processes in place that it's the charity side of it's running well. The catch with mine, again, it's like mindset and identity is part. I'm very logical thinking some days, and that's when I love to do business planning, set routines, structures, whatever. But then it comes down to content creation. It's like there is part of creating content is like you want chaos. So I don't want to be clean, tidy. Like I'm happy to have a mess and shit everywhere, but it's kind of controlled chaos. And I don't, if I wake up in the morning on an admin day where I've got to do like write grants or whatever, it's like I can put 10 till 2, I'm doing X, Y, Z and just get it done. On content creation days, it's like, all right, if I'm going to spend the day coming up with a concept or a storyboard, I might sit staring at the wall for 3 hours. Like you can't be creatively productive on schedule.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I guess normally you look at it and go, well, there's that type of person that's logic driven, that type of person's creative. But more and more we're seeing now, especially with like young startup kind of entrepreneurs, you need to do both. So I don't know. We're still playing around with what is the happy medium. We're kind of looking at it now going, there's an admin week, then there's a creative week. Just go week on, week off, because I find it impossible to switch my brain on the same day
100%.
From logic to creative. But
yeah, and that's the veteran mind too. Like we are creative. Like again, like you're out field, so you'd think of a better way to, heat your food up. You'd think of a better, easier way to do things as well. Because as much as the military was about cutting corners. Like if you could cut a corner wherever you could, you'd do it just because it meant more social time. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, they reckon the lazy people are the innovators, aren't they?
They are because they want to cut corners, but they'll think of a better way to do things, which end up turning out to be the better way to do things. So like it's crazy. But going back to the time thing too, like how do you teach a veteran to switch off, setting a schedule and time? Because that's what you're taught, if the bombs don't drop on that H hour. People are going to die. That's what I used to say all the time.
As opposed to working to a time, I would say I think people don't do proper time analysis. So they don't go, they go, okay, right, so I've got to pack up, go to the car, get in the car. It takes me 7.5 minutes to get to where I'm going, so I'll just leave in 10 minutes. And then they get on the road, they're like, oh, that one thing goes wrong.
Yeah.
Your fucking time goes out. So I do a proper analysis, put on a window and just cruise. Just get in the car, fuck about, mirror, whatever, no mirror, so I don't fucking kill someone. And then like daisy it, try to relax and get the time off. Yeah. I think it's still going to be subliminally there, the deadline. Yeah. But if you set it and you leave enough time and it sounds super simple, but you watch everybody fucking red light on the way to work when they've left it, the kids start twisting off and you're like, you watch as soon as you start flagging, it's because someone's impacting the time.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Does Swiss 8 have anything like to help with time management?
Well, I mean, that's what the app's for, and that's what we're looking at the moment because we've got a few features that we're rebuilding and I'm just looking at maybe putting in a time boxing thing because at the moment, the primary function is there's a whole bunch of programming. For anyone who hasn't downloaded the app, you bloody well should have if you listen to this podcast. But then the main function is the way it's set up on a calendar. So if your training program goes for 60 minutes for fitness, right, in the morning, hypothetically you do it, you'll set that at the same time every day just to help you build routine, which was the initial kind of MVP or minimum viable product model was our core demographic were people who really needed to get some structure in their life. Now moving forward, like even me using it personally, I'm like, there's parts of it that I want to be really tight and structured, and there's other parts that I just want to have to tick off to do sometime today. Yeah. So that's something we're looking at building in potentially. So more of a time boxing model. So you can choose whether you want to lock it into a set time every day to get into a routine, and then or you can pick that program and just have it on your list to tick off the day. Gotcha. Because there's, I fought with this too. I'm like, on one hand, if you want to be efficient, structure yourself the same and set a routine. And that does remove anxiety if you're in a routine. At the same time, as soldiers in the military, like you're always taught, you set a routine, you're going to get dead. Yeah. Like if you go on patrol at the same time in the same route every single day, you better be ready to get blown up. Yeah. So I'm like, and that's what is conflicting for me too. I'm like, if I really wanted to get tight and say I'm the ultimate Swiss 8 app user, I would be at least 5 days a week, maybe 7, doing the same stuff every single day. And I'm like, that's a good way to get killed. Like that creates anxiety when I start thinking about it like that. So I think we're going to end up again, we're going to start doing things really slowly. We're going to stop rushing stuff like Mix was saying because I love putting unrealistically short deadlines on things. And we're just going to cut that away and cut our own stress out and just go, if we can do it in a year, let's think about doing it to a higher level and take 2 years to do it. So I think the end state, maybe 2 years from now, we'll have every possible routine / non-routine combined together.
Yeah, I think the hardest part too is that you say there's a 2-year end state, but it's always going to evolve.
Exactly.
That's always the hardest thing. Like, every couple of years, just things change. Like technology changes, so you got to change your process. And especially in our security world now, we've gone from signing on, on paper to apps now. So, and the apps are only just getting better and better. So now you can track guards and. As soon as they walk into the area, the geolocated area, it'll sign on for them type thing. And they can't sign on unless they're inside that area. So, there's a lot of anti-cheating devices out there as well. So it's always just, I think everything's just evolving. So it's making it, it's harder, I suppose. Yeah. It's not easy to get into business. Like it's definitely so much easier to work for someone else. No stress. Like, I was with a couple of the 3RR boys the other day. We had a barbecue on a stray day. I sank a whole bottle of tequila. I shouldn't have. It was mental. But, I was talking to one of them. He's pretty established within, the horticulture side of things. What do they call arbitrist? Arbitrist?
Arborist, the tree chopper.
Yeah, tree choppers. He's been doing it for years, and I keep asking him, why don't you start your own thing? He says, I'd rather just work for someone else. It's just easier because it is.
Yeah.
No stress.
Absolutely, yeah.
You knock off at 5 o'clock, turn that phone off. If someone calls at 5 o'clock, your boss calls you up, no chance, mate. Not answering. Yeah. But I'm different. Like if it was for me, I'm the employee. If I was the employee, I'm that type of guy that, the boss calls at 2 o'clock in the morning, like, yep. Yeah. What do you need? Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, sweet. So yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, man. But I couldn't work for someone anymore. Like unless I just found that when I got out, like even going to doing bits and pieces of work with reserve units, I'm like, unless I know you and I trust that you know what you're talking about, because I spent so many years in the military going, I'm going to trust that dude just because of the rank on his shirt. Yeah. And then over time, thinking critically, especially when I first got out, I'm like, half of the people that I listened to didn't know what the fuck they were talking about.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't be a yes man anymore and go, I'm going to listen to you just because of your rank. Like, you have to know what you're talking about and you got to prove it. And that's why I was like, I don't think I can work for someone anymore.
Yeah.
But you're in saying that, you're 100% right. Like, there's days I'll wake up and I'm like, why didn't I just go and volunteer one day a week for RSL and help them make that better instead of spending 8 days a week for the last 4 years working 23 hours a day, trying to build our own thing. But
the satisfaction of it though. Like,
absolutely.
You know, there's no like in saying that, there is no better feeling than having your own business. You know, like Monday morning, my daughter's first day at school, so I don't have to go to work if I don't want to. I will, like after I drop her off and do her thing. But you know, if I was to do that with a regular, you know, someone else coming up, people are like, nah, it's too bad. You got to be at work at 7 o'clock. You know what I mean? So that is the positives. And there is real nothing out there to teach people how to get into business. You know, obviously you can go do your Cert 4 in business and stuff like that at TAFE and stuff, but that still just teaches the fundamental bullshit that you don't really, you know, the basic stuff, I suppose. You know, when I started the security, I had no fucking idea. I didn't even know how to send an invoice to a client. You know, my first client was Nitro Circus as well, so I sent it, you know, multi-million-dollar bloody company, and I'm sending an invoice for the first time. I'm just like, oh, fuck. Yeah. I was straight on to QuickBooks, and QuickBooks is just like, oh, Jesus Christ.
What are you doing?
What is this? It's not, this is not where I park my car type thing. So, yeah, I think, you know, if there is anyone that's going to be listening, they want to reach out, I'm happy to. You know, I've helped establish a couple of boys set up their own businesses now, and teach them, you know, how to deal with the ATO and how to speak to whoever you're dealing with, you know, and do the research to figure out, you know. But at the end of the day, as we spoke earlier, just do it. Yeah. Just if you think you've got an idea, even if it's, I don't know, some new fancy mug that can, I don't know, do whatever, like just do it.
Do it.
You're going to spend 5-10 grand. Who cares?
Absolutely. I think
spend money on stupider things, you know, like, so just do it. You got nothing to lose. If it fails, it fails. If it wins, it, who knows? You could be satisfaction in making it, or, you know, you might get financial, you know, rich at it.
We used to see this in the battalion all the time. You see guys and ahhing whether they're going to go SF, and then you're like, dude, put your fucking
just do
app
it.
in. As soon as they put their app in and they sign it,
that's
their
it.
fucking mentality changes. Like, now I've got to fucking do this, right?
100%.
For a number of motivators. One, they don't want to look like a shit gun. And two, they've got to start. Like, that was the decision point. It's just, I guess, you know, same in business.
What, like, I wouldn't know what the transition process is like now. Is it, you know, I know when I discharged, you had to go do, you know, a couple of weeks of, you know, PowerPoints, and they were just death and just like, shut the fuck up, just get me the fuck out type thing. Is it, you know, is there better things now where, you know, they, you know, fund things, or is there better PowerPoints? Is there external businesses coming, you know, ex-veterans coming and going, listen here, this is what you can do. This is how you can do it. You know, we can help you.
Yes and no. I mean, Max transitioned most recently, but from what, before he tells the full story of that, like those ideas, everything you said of, great ideas, and they need to be implemented, but they need to be implemented by ORs that have transitioned into that kind of stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
Because what they've done, people have pitched this, and DVA's got this Joint Transition Authority getting set up now, and part of it is like, how do we better upskill people? But we're still making government's still making the same mistakes. They're going, we've got these diggers or these land tracks or full tracks that got out 5-10 years ago. They've given us these ideas. Instead of letting them build a concept, let's go to the big giant companies that have failed so many times in the past and give them twice as much money and see how they can ruin it. Like the Prince's Trust is got a decent reputation, but it is a top-down organisation. It's been built by people at the top of the food chain, and they're like, if we can get a few good photos of some young diggers going through this, then it's a win.
Yeah. Whereas
what it should be is like low, super tiny budget, get as many people through and get it run by people that have actually, like yourself, having yourself on there, someone, an OR that's gone out, started their own business, successful. Let's get them teaching people some stuff. But they don't. We tried to put one together with Camps RSL, and that was I thought that was a good concept. It was like a tech startup accelerator kind of model. But then Campsy's gone off on their own and they're doing their own thing now. I'm not really sure. Adrian Humphreys came through it when we did that pilot with it.
Yep.
I don't know where that's going. I think, but yeah, all of those ideas, like just giving people the tools to learn how to start businesses, to do any of that kind of stuff, I think is what needs to be in the transition process. But what
they don't know what they're doing at the moment. They got warrant officers teaching people how to be a civilian. They joined the army at 17.
He's been in the whole time,
And you're like, dude, what the fuck do you know?
Yeah, right.
They do have external agencies. We did some talks with the HPC. They're trying, man. Like, we did some talks when a couple of years ago. We used to go in there and teach people once they get out, like, your nutrition and health is largely up to you. So maybe do some of these things. It'd be sick.
The biggest issue with that was the cultural thing, because it's still the people booking speakers for transition courses are officers, right? They're young officers, so captains-ish. And the culture in the military is ORs apparently don't know shit and officers are really smart. That's still there. It's like still from hundreds of years ago, British kind of model. And an officer, they need to see certifications on paper. Like if you've done a uni course, you're a smart person. If you join the army, you're not. According to a and again, I'm generalising a lot. We went in there. We'd been running Swiss 8 for a year and a half or so. We'd written a bunch of course material. We'd done a bunch of internal research ourselves. We built the app. LabRack, so 3 Brigade asked us to come in and give holistic health transition training to these people that were either medically injured so they couldn't do their job or getting out. And they even said, like, we sat down with the people who put the course together and she was a captain and she was like, oh, we got this dietitian that comes in and we pay her X. We got this dude, PT, that comes in and we pay him X. And we're like, all right, for us to come in, you're going to have to pay X. And she's like, no, you guys have got to do it for free because we used to be ORs and we were soldiers.
Yeah, right.
So, and again, this might be arrogant, but the people with the most lived experience, the ones that have done it, been through it themselves, that have worked with psychs and PTs and dietitians to build course material, in my mind, the ones providing the most value, because the dietitian that comes in has never worn green. She doesn't know how that smoking durries and drinking Red Bulls is a staple of that person's diet. Like we, I believe, had the most value to offer, and because we used to be ORs and we were addressing a captain, they assumed we should come in and do it for free, because we're just giving back to the military community. And I get that, but fuck, that pissed me off.
Yeah.
Like it's a no-brainer for them to pay a PT, to pay a dietitian, to pay a yoga instructor. As soon as you get someone to come in and talk actual life experience to transition more successfully, they're like, nah, it's got to be free.
Paying a private business, it's paying a charity so that we're not expending funds preparing stuff that people have donated. And they're like, can you give us a hand here? Like, it's a charity.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, we'll just do it for free. Like, okay, fuck you, righto. Yeah.
Do you reckon the defence does it on purpose for retention?
I just think they're silly.
They just don't want people to leave, because if they do, then they're not going to have a defence force.
I think the fact that there's a suicide royal commission right now, the veterans killing himself is more important to government right now than retention. I think, and it should be, and that's good. But I think it is just systemic. The culture within the systems of government, defence, and DVA, they're all top down, and until that changes, like we could whinge about this all day. I don't want to turn talking to you into a big whinge, but last year we ran the barbecue campaign. Mex and one of the other blokes set up, like manually, rang the boys at every battalion all around Australia. Every unit had people set up just going, hey, we're having this barbecue for Remembrance Day. Get your diggers, get them connected. Just have a barbecue. That is it. If you want to raise money, that's cool. Just get your diggers to organise barbecues. On Boozer Day, on a Thursday, Arvo, the battalion went off like a house on everyone was in, like booked, ready to go. And then the 3 Brigade commander a week out cancelled everything north of from Townsville up, North Queensland. Everything got shut down. Why? And again, there's a bunch of motives, but I just don't believe they understand the value of lived experience and the message that's coming from ORs. It's like, did a general or a professor at a uni come up with this concept? The answer is no. Then they're like, no, don't do it.
Yeah.
Like the culture is wrong. It's like when 600 officers take their own lives and an officer comes up with a solution because he knows I'll start paying attention.
Yeah.
But generals are so fucking disconnected from diggers that the culture within these departments is completely backwards.
Yeah.
That's enough whinging about government, isn't it? We'll move on to something positive.
Yeah, 100%.
So where to next, man?
Obviously, the security company's going really good. So it's, it's turning over a couple million a year, which is always a good thing. No, it's not just me as well. There's heaps of my other veteran mates that I was in 3 hour with. There's a lot of boys doing good things, like taking their businesses to the next level. Not even businesses, whoever they're working for. I've got some guys that are high up in the chain at, one guy's high up in the chain at Hungry Jack's, he's making good coin and mate, I love Hungry Jack's. That's good burgers. So,
You're going to have to cut that out, mate. Don't eat Hungry Jack's. No fast food burgers, please. No fast food burgers.
For me, I think I'm just going to carry on with this security stuff. I love it. I can't, eventually I will get out of security again because I probably need to escape from that high vigilance type thing. I'm really interested in the whole embroidery and, printing stuff. I love that stuff. Like, again, it's kind of soothing and, who knows where this skincare stuff's going to go, for my daughter. So I'm actually enjoying watching videos on YouTube how to make that stuff, which is still pretty fun. So, in the next, we're moving too. So we're moving, there's only me and my wife and 2 kids at the moment. I've got 4 kids in total, 2 that live with me, and the 2, we're in a small 2-bedroom unit at the moment, and, we're about to, we were meant to move in our new house like 4 or 5 months ago. COVID's put a spanner in the works, and obviously stuff's coming from China that does not getting here fast enough type thing. So it should be ready in the next couple of weeks. So we're moving out to Gilliston Heights in a big brand new house. So it's going to be good for us to create more of a routine, especially for our kids. Obviously, they're sleeping whenever they want now, and it's just too hard. We're all in the same area, and the lady next door passed away a couple of weeks ago, and in an apartment, so it was just mental, and I'm still a bit freaked out about it.
Did you smell it? Was that ink?
Well, just how old? I don't know, 60s, 70s. Probably COVID, according to the government.
Well, yeah. Died with COVID or died of COVID?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But she was crook, and so I just want to get out there, and it's a shitty building, and it's been great, it's where we've established everything. But, it's going to be good to get out into the new house. And I guess from there too, I'll be able to figure out, exactly what I want to do. And I don't know. There's always something new for me. Like, I want to talk about meal prepping, offline, because that's something I wouldn't mind getting into.
Oh, mate, I'll tell you the ins and outs of that.
Yeah.
It's a good way to burn money.
I think, part of my supplement side of things, why not offer a short little meal plan type thing? Like, I think it's just another.
Think about, if you want to do it yourself, go nuts. I had that meal delivery company for about 5 years, and it's full time, and there's not a lot of profit margin in food.
Yeah, well, I think it's for us. We're lucky that we've got the clothing and the supplements as well. So it's more of just another product.
Look,
you know what I mean?
So I know what you mean.
We're not just doing. Yeah, but anyway, that's another idea. But man, there's always ideas popping up in my head. Speaking of Dan Pronk the other day, he's building a low production car that's going to be coming out. That's people, do you know? Yeah, Delta Automotive or something.
Is he?
Yeah, no shit. Like a full hot rod style because he loves his Italian style Lamborghinis and stuff. So he's building some type of sports car. No ABS or anything. So it's just going to be like a death trap / coffin, which would be super sick. But he's, what I mean, that's what veterans are doing. They're building their own fucking cars.
Yeah, find hobbies and see if you can make money out of it.
Yeah. And so, I don't know. Like, honestly, people say you should have that 5 to 10 year outlook. I don't know if I'm going to be alive. Like I could pull the pin tomorrow, could crash the car on the way home. Who knows? So I try and live day by day and just do what I'm doing to the best of my ability. And I don't take nothing less. If there's something, and my business partner for Iron Lead Cartel, he knows. If I see a thread on a t-shirt, that's it. That shirt's out. Out in the bin. I don't care. I'm pretty, and that's the hard thing about veterans as well, because our attention to detail is, fix that shit. There's a crinkle in that shirt, fix that shit. Look good, look the part. So I don't really know what do what I'm doing now and just try and do everything to my best of my ability. And if it gets successful, it does. If it fails, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of failures down the track. But there's a lot of things I want to get into. Like I see something new every day, and skincare, that only started 2 weeks ago.
Mate, here I am. If you need a hand model or no, you probably get better ones.
Yeah, it's not really me.
Maybe get started with his rig out.
Yeah, I don't know where those hands have been.
I got weird looking. Yeah, true. Whoa. Gardening, mate. That's what I mean. Gardening in the dirt. I love it, mate. It's because you've kind of done a multi transition. Left the military, got into security, which is fairly generic. Security and PTing is pretty much the same.
Yeah.
But then now that's you've set that up long term, where it's comfortably making money, and you now kind of almost identity shifting into creative.
Yeah.
There's not a lot creative about private security, but there is about making clothes and new companies.
Yeah. And I guess that creative side started from me being in the PSD world. You know, we had these IFACs, and the ones that we were buying, they were just shit. They had zips on them, and like, you know, how you meant to.
What's an IFAC, just for people like me who have no idea?
First aid kit.
Gotcha.
So it's just a little first aid kit you wear on your belt. You pull it if you need it, and it's got your chest seal, and you know, if you again, not another normal first aid kit. You know, most people just carry band-aids. We're carrying chest seals and quick clots and, you know, to stop the bleed type thing. Not normal. Another reason why there's, you know, issues with the PSD world. But, you know, I created this IFAC that was just a bit better, and it's, you know, pulls out left or right and holds the stuff inside, and, you know, and that was part of my creative thinking. And we've got a plate carrier coming as well. And that was the start of it. Now it's just I'm just thinking of ways, how can I change that mug? You know, how can I make that better, easier?
I'll got one for you. I can't put it on air because it's like everyone's. It's $1 billion idea, mate.
Yeah.
Now this is so simple. You can make it for under $2.
There you go.
And I reckon I'll talk to you after
There you
this.
go. But I'd love to, you know, and if anyone's got an idea and they're like, do you want to invest and do you want to get into it? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. What have I got to lose? A couple of grand? I don't care. Like I've got the money to lose it, so why not risk it? That's life, isn't it? Like just do it. Yeah. You got nothing to
Yeah, I like it. For any young diggers that are first getting out though, don't take 100% of your little savings and go, I'm going to buy a shirt machine. Actually do some homework first. Or not.
Definitely.
It's up to you. You'll learn from that mistake.
Buy the small one first, like I did. I did buy a smaller one. It was $2,000, so I figured that out and then bought the big one. Yep. So, you know, always start small to to fit your budget. Like, don't go out and, like we all did after Afghanistan, buy a HSV or a BMW or whatever, and wrap them around poles.
I mean, I guess that's what I was getting at before. With the security company, you did the long game, whether or not you had a 10-year plan or not. Like you weren't. Well, I don't know if you're struggling or not, but you weren't going all in. All right, I've taken out a massive loan. I have to make this work. And then now you're at the point. So that was your main one, and now you're at the point where you have the free cash to go. I can experiment with ideas. I think that's one thing that I did wrong. I mean, like we spoke on your podcast. All of my business learnings came from massive failures with the restaurant, which I think is fantastic. Cost a lot of money, but that was the issue. It's the same as not having enough time to get to work or whatever. It's like I went all in, borrowed money, went all in on this first business idea, and if it failed, I would have had nothing left.
Yeah,
which was exciting at the time too, but it became so fucking stressful.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, not trying to give young diggers advice, but try an idea out, learn as much as you can, and try an idea out as cheaply as possible, and then start playing around with stuff. Because as soon as you start a business that if you have a one bad day, your family can't eat. Yeah, that's gonna it fucks you up.
Yeah. And if you do go into business with someone else, try and make sure they have the exact same drive and process as you. You know, thinking. You know, I've had it in the past. You know, like one of our business partners, he's no longer with the company anymore, which is a good thing because he just didn't have that flair like the rest of us. So you just got to find that that happy medium with someone else, and if they've just got that same crazy, creative, whatever drive mind, then 100% get in with them. But, always be careful when you go in with friends because it can fall apart.
I like it, mate. I think it's good advice for diggers for the future. The world's getting more creative.
100%.
We're going to have
technology.
Anything logic-based is going to be robots, mate. So look for fucking creativity and have a crack at it.
Just the New South Wales, I think it's more the Australian government. No one knows about this, which is super crazy. The government is actually paying veterans, paying their course fees to do a Cert 4 or diploma.
Everyone, not just veterans.
No, it depends. There's not just everyone. There's guidelines.
For different jobs though. There is training, free training out there for almost anything. So
there is now, yeah. But there's even better ones for veterans. And their partners. So you can be a veteran of one day and do a diploma in, bicycle fixing. I looked at it the other day. There's anything, Cert 3, Cert 4s, and the government will pretty much subsidise the whole lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a diploma I'm doing the diploma in paramedical science at the moment. And then I'm going to do a diploma in photography as well because I love photography. That's another thing I want to get into. Is my brother's massive on it. He's massive on YouTube and, he's getting 300,000 views and stuff. But he's massive.
Oh, is that your brother? I saw a post this. I'm like, fuck, he looks familiar because it was for Iron and Lead Cartel.
Big
and I was like,
and he's massive. Like he just finished his uni degree and he's doing the
full-time videographer now.
Yeah.
And I stalked his Instagram. He's got some skills, mate.
It's good. Bigger and bigger. So I'd like to get into the photography side of things as well because I find it quite.
Well, that's why I've got all these set up as a prop because I've actually got to learn how to use them. And I've started to lose interest in TAFE-based or uni-based government certified courses. I just want to find anything creative. I want to find the dude on the internet that looks like he knows what he's got the most skills. I'm like, I'll go and learn from him. I don't want to go and learn from some dude who learned it out of a book last week.
Yeah.
So I don't really care if it comes with a certification code as long as I think I paid like it's one of those online course things. I downloaded a course the other day to learn how to use those black magic cameras. See how it goes, but
it just when I'm talking about my brother, I'm just wondering, with creativity and drive and stuff, if it's a DNA, if there's a DNA aspect or a hereditary aspect in it, because he's just the same thing. If he sees it, when he first started to learn how to play the guitar, it was like saw a guitar, picked it up, and just banged it out for a year. Just did not stop until he got it. Same thing, photography. He just picked up a camera one day and I'm going to teach myself how to do it.
I'm the same. Left and right hemisphere dominance.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. Again, I would have to get up to date research, but I don't. I think it's getting disproven to say that you are a left brain person. Maybe not. I don't know. We'd have to have a look. But
I think there's a chemical connection somewhere because if me and my brother are doing, again, I bought a 13,000 embroidery machine. I had no idea, but I said to myself, I'm not going to stop until that thing's
personal growth too, isn't it? And that wonderment and learning a new skill and
struggling.
As long as you're hitting the boundary and getting through it.
Just
fucking hitting the wall every time. Like, fuck knows. Like when you're trying to put IKEA furniture together and you're like, dude, I shouldn't have thrown the instructions out. You're like, fuck.
Yeah.
But, learning a new skill, that personal growth.
Yeah.
It's good. Mate, last question. I know we're going over time. You've just raised a point that you're doing more stuff. So you've got all these businesses and now you're also doing some courses to learn. How's your sleep?
I sleep pretty shitty as it is because of all my injuries. I've got arthritis in both shoulders, covered by DVA, which is good because obviously my parachute accident and car crash and whatever, and knees are starting to give way. I honestly feel like a 60-year-old man, and all you guys can contest about that. The same thing. The military life is not often. You whatever career, how long you did. You probably walked 1 million kilometers with 60 kilos in your back. Again, not fucking normal. So you're going to be busted. Like, as sad as it is, you're going to be busted after you leave the military. It's just, that's a given fact. It's the way you manage it, obviously. If you hook up with Swiss A and be healthy about it, you'd probably be better. I'd obviously got into the booze and all that type of stuff, so that kind of degenerated my health a bit more. I forgot what the question was.
Sleep.
Sleep.
Do you sleep and how
sleep
is it decent?
It's you with kids as well. You've got kids?
No.
Don't have yeah. Not that you know.
Anyway.
Obviously, when you've got kids with you 24/7, sleep's always going to be an issue because they're waking up every sort of an hour. Not too bad with the 5-year-old; still sleep all night. It's more the 2-year-old that's getting up. I sleep all right, but again, it's me that overactive thinking. Like a funny meme come up the other day on Facebook and tagged my wife, and there was a picture of someone laying in bed thinking about where their passport was, and that's me. Because I'll be like, I'll wake up and go, "Where's my passport?" And I'll be up. That's it, looking for it. You know what I mean? Like, don't need it. I'm just gonna go look for it. Birth certificate. Where is it? Fuck, I'll go find it. 3 o'clock in the morning. So my sleep's. I'm obviously getting enough to do what I'm doing. It's hard when I'm on a job, especially when I was with Nitro, because we spent a lot of time on tour buses, on these fancy tour buses, like they got beds and little kitchens and stuff, but I was too big for the bunks and stuff, so my sleep was shit, and we were working early days and long days, and my sleep now is pretty good. It'll get better, I think, I guess, maybe, but, I think if you get your 6 or 7 hours, that's enough.
Yeah.
to keep.
Oh, it is. Yeah, yeah.
Well, keep hydrated. Hydrate is, water's the biggest thing.
I think, yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Well, they're eight to 9 hours laying in bed every day. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So they moved away from entrepreneurs like, I sleep 4 hours a night because the other guy's doing 4 and a half and I do
4 and a half.
No.
The people started cooking and the ability to regulate your emotions. One of the biggest contributors to your ability to regulate emotions was had you had enough sleep the night before, up to including. And there are outliers that can sleep 6-7 hours.
I think that's the minimum. 6 is the minimum that I think you should have. Personally, that's from my opinion anyway. But 8's definitely perfect. Anything over that at our age is definitely not good. If you oversleep, then that can have just as bad as effect, on your drive. But when you're 15, 16, especially if you're only a young fella leaving the vet, as a veteran, as a 24-year-old, you can sleep till midday. I don't remember the last time I slept till midday. Like even on a big night on the booze, I couldn't tell you. Like it's just, I think as you get, what I mean? Like when you were growing up, and you see your parents get up at 6 a.m. Like, what are you doing up at 6 a.m.? It's just what happens when you get older. Like,
your body requires less. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and hydration is absolutely important. We were talking about this yesterday. I'll steal this analogy from that's not an analogy. What is it? I don't know, metaphor maybe. No, anyway, going in the wrong rabbit hole. Is it Matthew Walker, the sleep book? Whatever his name is, there's a book on why we sleep. And when that dude was talking, he's like, to put things in importance of what you should focus on the most to get accurate, he's like, he used to say fitness, nutrition and sleep were the 3 most important things. And people would put them in order, normally going, well, you need to be fit and then figure your diet out and then get your sleep right. And he's like, working backwards from if you didn't do any of them, what's going to happen to you? Like, and his message is don't do any of them for a week. And he goes, don't train for a week. You're okay. You feel lazy. Don't eat for a week. You can fast for 7 days. It's getting to the max. He goes, don't sleep for a week and you're fucking dead. 100%. And so therefore it is in that order. And then if we add in the other ones, like hydration definitely needs to be in there. And for us, we've been watching a bunch of shows like I won't say which ones, they're very feminine. But they're all about breathing and breath work. And that's something I really want to focus on this year. And I'm like, if you do breath work and then a bit of yoga, that's your mindfulness. And I'm just using the Swiss 8 app principles. And then there's some fitness and movement, and there's nutrition, and then there's sleep. And obviously hydration needs to go in there too. If you use that same principle, the same model to go, how does it work if you don't do any of them? For how long can you do them? And obviously breathing regulates everything in the human body. And there's so much I think that we need to investigate further to see what breath can do. But you hold your breath for 5 minutes and you're going to die. That is the first thing that needs to be addressed. And I think probably water would come second, like hydration would come second, because you can go a week without food in a fast. You can't go a week without water.
Yeah.
And so with that model, get your breathing right, get your hydration right, and then sleep, then food, then fitness, which is almost opposite to the way people try and get healthy.
Yeah.
So sleep, definitely we've got to fix it out. But yeah, hydration's up there.
Yeah.
There's going to be some good protocols coming in. So it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, cool.
But man, well, hey, I think that's coming up to 2 hours, man. We might wrap that bad boy up, mate.
It's been super sick. Yeah.
Mate, thanks for coming on.
I appreciate you having me.
Cheers, bro. We'll do them again more and more now that we're all in the same spot. Newcastle's the place to be.